Creatures from another realm, but once upon a time hailed from the material plane. Now twisted and driven insane by the workings of the far realm, deem everything you would find natural to be very much an insult and an abomination to their very existence. Today, we are talking about the Kaorti. Hello, and welcome to Dungeon Deep Dive, where we talk about all things D&D, from monsters and their lore, to news updates and tips, and advice for anyone interested in D&D and wants to give it a try. Today we are talking about the Kaorti, a 7-foot tall humanoid adorned in form-fitting armor of thick resin and tissue to protect themselves from the toxic environment of the material plane. The Kaorti first appeared in Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition in a book called Dungeons & Dragons Fiend Folio. First published in April of 2003 by Eric Cagill, Jesse Decker, James Jacobs, Eric Mona, Matthew Cernetta, Chris Thomason, and James Wyatt. Fiend Folio was an accessory to the 3rd edition of Dungeons & Dragons, giving you over 100 new monsters to use in your campaigns. The history of the Kaorti first begins when a group of high elf wizards sought out to venture far beyond what is known in the universe and travel to the realms beyond, the Far Realm. The Far Realm is a place of complete and utter madness on the very outskirts of the known cosmos. Throughout history, the Far Realm has been known to drive anyone foolish enough to venture there insane and twist their very essence into gruesome monsters. The Far Realm is home to many creatures that don't fully belong in the natural order of the universe. Some of these creatures being mind flayers, aboleths, beholders, even the Doom, which if you think the Kaorti are scary, these things make them look like supermodels. They are haunting, and most other creatures that fall into the aberration category. Let's also not forget of Big Daddy Cthulhu and other great old ones that call this realm their home. This group of high elf wizards, confident in their arcane abilities to travel to the Far Realm, safely opened a gateway and stepped on through to the Far Realm. The second the wizards stepped onto the plane, it was like a body reacting to an unknown object entering the system. The wizards were driven insane and absorbed by a nameless entity that called the realm its home. They were transformed into hideous monsters and added to the numerous collection of creatures in the realm. These were the Kaorti. The transformation made the former wizards lose almost all of their memory of the material plane. They had no memory of their homes, their history, where they grew up. They just had a urge, or like a sense of where they called home, the material plane. Seeing the portal back to the material plane still open in the Far Realm, the very idea of the material plane existing disturbed the newly formed wizards so much, and without even a thought, they traveled back through the portal on a mission to destroy the material plane. Doing this closed the portal and set the Far Realm back into its slumber, but trapping the Kaorti on the material plane at the same time. Trapped on a plane that its very existence disgusted them and started to actually cause them physical harm. These 7-foot tall, emaciated looking humanoids with brownish skin, marked with red and purple swirls, and elongated limbs and claw-like appendages. Determined to survive, they set out on their new mission to not only destroy the material plane, but to transform it into a plane that would be more suitable for their needs and that of their new home, the Far Realm. After many of the Kaorti fell to the radiation-like environment that was the material plane, they eventually made structures called cysts. These cysts would often sit in remote regions and abandoned forts and mines, so they could grow in numbers like a virus undisturbed. Outside of these cysts, the Kaorti would have to wear form-fitting armor made out of this thick resin and tissue, grown out of the Kaorti themselves. The resin came out of the pores of the Kaorti's hands, and are then farmed and used by the crafters of their communities to make weapons, armor, and reinforce their homes. The Kaorti even have their own language that they speak, but they have been known to also speak a few other languages like Common and Sylvan, probably due to their elven heritage. Even though every ounce of their high elf essence is gone, they still have a very high respect for the arcane and would often see sorcerers or wizards as leaders in their communities. If the Kaorti ever have to engage in combat, they prefer to use their magic on their enemies, but do have melee capabilities as well if necessary. The Kaorti have a bite that deals 2d4 plus 3 piercing damage, and the target has to make a constitution saving throw of a DC 13 or be poisoned. They also have an attack with their ribbon dagger, a weapon that is also made out of the same material that their armor and their homes are made out of. This dagger deals 1d4 slashing damage, but deals 4 times damage on a crit instead of the standard 2 times. If your party is ever captured by the Kaorti, It is most likely to extract information from you about settlements close by so they can kidnap more people to add to their ranks, right before they transform you into a thrall to bolster their numbers. The transformation process to turn a humanoid into a Kaorti thrall takes around 8 hours to complete, where the creature must be willing or incapacitated. The Kaorti's jaw unhinges and locks onto the target, infusing them with the very essence of the Far Realm. The creature then has to make a Constitution saving throw. If the creature fails the saving throw, they are then turned into a Kaortian themselves. But if they succeed on the saving throw, the Kaorti can try again to transform them, but the DC on the save is increased by 1. If a non-humanoid creature is transformed, they are more than likely going to be turned into a sky bleeder. Sky bleeders are floating aberrations that emit a mist that makes them look like they're just a red sky stormed cloud. This illusion of a cloudscape ends when the sky bleeder begins to rain down a slimy rain of acid on the area, leaving the land and anyone in it dissolving in excruciating pain. These sadistic blobs of flesh, if not given a direct order from the Kaorti, will go out and hunt for food and also hunt just for sport. They also have a small amount of magic at their disposal that can manipulate the weather around them. Spells such as Cold Lightning, Control Weather, and Cloud Kill. They also have 2 razor-like claws that they can attack with if the party is unfortunate enough to come close enough to these monsters. The Sky Bleeder's Acid Rain ability deals 2d6 points of acid damage per round to any living creature that the Sky Bleeder hovers above, or half as much on a successful DC 17 dexterity saving throw. Its claws also deal a piercing 3d8 plus 7 slashing damage and 2d6 acid damage on top of that. Another creature created by the Kaorti is a large aberration called the Rukinear. Going by the images of this creature is due to the combination of Far Realm mystery and of a scorpion. These creatures were made completely by accident, and the Kaorti that created them were all slaughtered by the Rukinear. Rukinears want nothing more than to destroy everything in its path. Only the most powerful of the Kaorti wizards are able to control these armored tanks of destruction, but they can only control them for a short amount of time. Being the intellectual race that the Kaorti are, instead of just destroying these creatures and calling them a failure, the Kaorti use them as a first line of attack to soften the enemies up before making their way in themselves. Even though the AC of the Rukinear isn't that high at 14, they are just a walking wall of hit points. Sitting at a cheeky 114 hit points, the heavy resin plating that covers the body is constantly shifting around its form. With the moving plates, any melee attack made on the Rukinear must make a DC 11 dex saving throw. On a fail, the attacker's weapon takes 4d6 plus 5 damage and is thrown out of the attacker's hands. This, as well as their Sundering Roar ability that deals 12d6 thunder damage to a single target, or half damage on a successful DC 17 dex save, or they can use the second option where you can hit all targets within 60 feet. All targets within that range have to make a DC 17 con save or be deafened for 2d6 of rounds. With an intelligence score of 15, these creatures are not your standard brutes. They have no interest in communication or magical secrets. Instead, they use their intelligence to find ways to slay their enemies. It is even possible to coerce a Rukinear into your party into service through the promise of death and destruction of enemies. But be very careful. Once it is getting bored, it could turn on you at any minute. Now, going back to the lifestyle of the Kaorti, once their cysts, their homes that they build and live in, reach their maximum capacity, they will split and go off and spread like a virus to spread through the lands of the material plane to reach their main goal of converting the whole land into like a second Far Realm. And that alone to me is a great plot point for any D&D campaign. Maybe the Kaorti are the unrelenting army of a great old one wanting to dominate the material plane. Or you could make them an everlasting problem through the entire campaign, destroying Sis as they head towards stopping the big bad of the campaign. Or maybe the party could encounter the start of the invasion of a Kaorti. The possibility of these creatures in the campaign are endless. One of the things I love about the Far Realm and the creatures in there is that you don't have to use just the creatures that the books supply you with for the Far Realm. You could easily make your very own up. You could use a direwolf. You could look at the direwolf in the monster manual and be like, right, what would that look like if a Kaorti transformed it? What would that make? Or you could do a minotaur. What would that make? Or you could go as far as even a dragon. What would a Kaorti Far Realm dragon look like? It could literally be as easy as flipping through the monster manual, just stopping on a random page and going, right, what would this monster look like if a Kaorti got a hold of it? The implication here with the Kaorti is that they are a race of monsters that you can always add to and build up and go as crazy as you want to in your campaign. They're from the Far Realm. It's a crazy place. It doesn't need a lot of justification from where it is. The Far Realm is like the realm of outcasts for the known world. And with that, that is all I have for you guys today on the Kaorti. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, and if there's anything else about the Kaorti that I have missed, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. I will also leave a link to all the websites that I've used for my research on this topic so you guys can go read through it yourself. If there is a monster that you think I should cover next, let me know in the comments below and I will add your comment on the end of the next video. You can find links to all the socials down below for when I upload these videos. Thank you all again, and I will see you all in the next one.